Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and I'm really excited because I am going to be doing one of my favorite videos that I film every single month, and that is my monthly releases. We are going to be talking about all of the new releases that are coming out in November of 2022 that I am super excited about. Obviously, this is not every single book releasing in the month of November. This is, sci-fi and fantasy that I am excited about. That sounds really good to me. And some of these are sequels, some of these are new series. I didn't think there was going to be a lot in November, but there's actually a lot coming out in November that I had no idea about, that I just started finding when I started looking up all of the November releases that I wanted to pre-order and add to my own cart. And I was like, dang, there's a lot of books coming out. So that's gonna hurt my wallet, but I want to talk about them because maybe you're excited about some of these too. So let's get into it. First and foremost, coming out on November 1st is The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. This is the sequel to The City We Became, which was one of my favorite books that I read when it came out. I absolutely loved it, and I am so hyped for this next book. This is a duology, so this is the last book in the series, unless she decides to do more. And honestly, I probably wouldn't complain because I will read anything that N.K. Jemisin writes. She is fantastic. If you don't know about The Great Cities or The City We Became, it is a contemporary fantasy duology that is set in New York City. It is N.K. Jemisin's love letter to her city, her love letter to New York. And it is a good time. And it is also a weird time. So the premise is that a lot of very large established cities will actually become sentient. And what that means is they are born and a person within that city will become that city's avatar. They will have all of the powers of that city and different abilities. And it's really, really interesting. I wonder how her mind comes up with some of these things. But when New York City is born, something kind of goes haywire and there are multiple avatars. So there actually ends up being an avatar for all of the boroughs. And these avatars have to meet and come together, and they all kind of represent different parts of New York City, and I absolutely loved it. The first book was so much fun. And you have this weird looming evil that's trying to prevent the avatars from coming together. And the reveal at the end of the first book is whoa. It was not something I was expecting, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really excited for the second book to come out. And then coming out on the 8th of November is Gleanings. And this is Stories from the Ark of the Scythe. So this is a collection of short stories from within the world of the Ark of the Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I absolutely loved the Scythe series. I didn't love the last book as much. It was a little bit of a slog, a little more difficult for me to get into, but I loved the first two, liked the second one, and I'm excited to read some short stories. I love that a lot of these series are doing things like this. I know S.A. Chakravorty did one, River of Silver, that was in her Devabad series. So I'm excited to see more of the world, more of our characters, and just get a little bit more insight into this world. Next, also coming out on November 8th is Children of Ragnarok by Cinda Williams-Chima. And for one, the cover of this, absolutely stunning. This is the first book in a new series, and it sounds like it's going to be really cool. This is a Norse-inspired fantasy, which I really end up enjoying. A lot of times they're hit or miss for me. So I didn't love John Gwen's Malice as much, but I absolutely loved Shadow of the Gods, also by John Gwen. So kind of take that as you will with a grain of salt. I also have not read anything else by Cinda Williams-Chima, but this will be my first one when I do get to it, so I'm excited. It says, ever since Ragnarok, the great war between gods and the forces of chaos, the human realm of Midlands has become a dangerous place, bereft of magic, where most lead lives of desperation. 16-year-old Eric is among the luckier ones. Between fishing, going Vikinger, and working his Modier's farm, the family has remained prosperous. But Eric stands to lose everything when he's convicted by a rigged jury of murdering his Modier and stepfather. Also at risk is his half-sister, Liv, who's interested in Sadir, or magic, has made her a figure of suspicion. Then her powerful Jarl steps in. He will pay the blood price if Eric will lead a mission to the fabled temple at the Grove, the rich stronghold of word spinners, the last practitioners of sorcery. Spellslinger, musician, and runecaster Regan has spent her life traveling from town to town, performing at alehouses, all for the benefit of her master, Asker, the fire demon she's desperate to escape. Then, after one performance that amazes even Regan herself, 2 word spinners in the audience make her an irresistible offer. Return with them to the temple to be trained in Sadir, forever free of Asker. That honestly sounds really cool. And it sounds like the 2 storylines are going to kind of collide into each other. And I love when that happens and we have multiple points of view and then they just kind of collide in. So I'm really excited for this one. Then also coming out on the 8th of November is Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the sequel to Legendborn and I really liked the first book. It was so much fun. And then it was definitely more hard-hitting and deep and had much more depth than I honestly expected from a like King Arthur retelling, but it was just really good and I'm excited to see where the story goes because at the end of the first book, again, it was like one of those endings where it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was like just mind-blowing and I'm very excited to see what happens next. Coming out on the 1st is Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell. This is the companion to Winter's Orbit. So it is not a direct sequel. It is set in the same world. We are following different characters, different POVs from a different place. I was kind of hoping that this would actually be a direct continuation, but it is not. As of right now, Winter's Orbit kind of stands on its own, but this is set in the same world. Rich socialite, flirt, and walking disaster, Tinalin can read minds. Tanal, like all neuromodified readers, is a security threat on his own, but when controlled, readers are a rare asset. Not only can they read minds, but they can navigate chaotic space, the maelstorms surrounding the gateway to the wider universe. Conscripted into the military under dubious circumstances, Tanal is placed into the care of Lieutenant Surit Yeni, a duty-bound soldier, a principled leader, and son of a notorious traitor general. Whereas Tanal can read minds, Surit can influence them. Like all other neuromodified architects, he can impose his will onto others, and he's under orders to control Tanal by merging their minds. Surit accepts a suspicious promotion track request out of desperation, but refuses to go through with his illegal orders to sync and control an unconsenting Tanal. So they lie. They fake a sync bond and plan Tanal's escape. Their best chance arrives with a salvage retrieval mission in chaotic space, to the very neuromodification lab that Surit's traitor mother destroyed 20 years ago. And among the rebel is a treasure both terrible and unimaginably powerful, one that upends a decades-old power struggle and begins a war. Tanal and Surit can no longer abandon their unit or their world. The only way to avoid life under full military control is to complete the very sync they've been faking. Can 2 unwilling weapons of war bring about peace? That sounds really cool. And honestly, it sounds like it's really cool on its own. And then I'm here kind of hoping that we get at least some little like Easter egg tie-ins, like maybe see something of at least one of our characters from the first one. So I'm excited to see like what kind of happens and how they're going to tie it together. Then coming out on the 15th of November is Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse. I love Rebecca Roanhorse. I love Black Sun. Still need to read the second one, but I'm really excited to buy another book by them. Celeste, a card sharp with penchant for trouble, takes on the role of Advocus Diaboli to defend her sister Mariel, accused of murdering a virtue, a member of the ruling class in the mining town of Goyeta, in a new world of dark fantasy. That sounds really cool. Like, honestly, I don't really need to read more. It's just like, you know, a more in-depth version of that. But it sounds really good. Like, I love it. There's angels and the siblings trying to help and save each other, and it just sounds like it's going to be really cool. And then coming out again on the 1st of November is The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. This says that it is a sinister and jaw-dropping debut novel. A circle of researchers uncovers a mysterious deck of tarot cards and shocking secrets in New York's famed Met Cloister. When Anne arrives to New York City, she expects to spend a summer working as a curatorial associate at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Instead, she finds herself assigned to the Cloisters, a Gothic museum and garden renowned for its medieval art collection and its group of enigmatic researchers studying the history of divination. Desperate to escape her painful past, Anne is happy to indulge the researchers' more outlandish theories about the history of fortune-telling. But what begins as an academic curiosity quickly turns into obsession when Anne discovers a hidden 15th century deck of tarot cards that might hold the key to predicting the future. When the dangerous game of power, seduction, and ambition at the Cloisters turns deadly, Anne becomes locked in a race for answers as the line between the arcane and the modern blurs. I mean, that just sounds great. Set in a museum and like mystery and tarot cards, and sign me up. It sounds fantastic. And also coming out on the 1st of November is The Vermilion Emporium by Jamie Paxton. This says that it is a heart-wrenching story of the Radium Girls meets the enchanting world of Howl's Moving Castle. It is a debut fantasy and a story of timeless love and deadly consequences. And honestly, I don't think I want to know more. Like, I don't even want to know like the rest of the description, because that alone sounds really cool. Then again, coming out on the 1st is another book that everyone has been talking about, and that is The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. It says that this is a haunting and high-octane contemporary fantasy about magic it takes to face your fears in a nightmare-filled forest, and the mettle required to face the secrets hiding in the dark corners of your own family. Again, nice, short, sweet description, and it sounds like it's going to be a good time. Coming out on the 10th of November is Heart of the Sun Warrior by Asulin Tan. This is the sequel to Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I just recently read Daughter of the Moon Goddess, absolutely loved it, and I'm really excited to see what happens next, because at the end of the book we were kind of left pretty open with a lot of different options and things that could be going on, and I'm really excited to just kind of see what happens and finish up in this world, because this is a duology, so this will be the last book in this series, so really excited. Another one that is literally on everybody's list is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. That comes out on November 15th, and we're just really not going to talk too much about it because I feel like everybody knows about it. It's the 4th and final book in Mistborn Era 2. It's a very hit or miss era. I absolutely love it. It is like a Western-esque Mistborn, but so much fun, and I'm very excited to see what happens, especially after the last book, because the last book tied in super heavily to the rest of the Cosmere, especially like the Stormlight Archives, so I'm very excited to see it. But really, this book needs no more advertising because, like, it's massive. Also coming out on the 15th of November is The Wilder Women by Ruth Emmy Lang. According to the synopsis on Goodreads, this says that 5 years ago, Nora Wilder disappeared. The older of her 2 daughters, Zadie, should have seen it coming because she can literally see things coming. But not even her psychic abilities were able to prevent their mother from vanishing one morning. Zadie's estranged younger sister, Fen, can't see into the future, but she has an uncannily good memory. So good that she remembers not only her own memories, but the echoes of memories other people have left behind. On the afternoon of her graduation party, Finn is seized by an echo, more powerful than anything she's experienced before. A woman singing a song she recognizes, a song about a bird. When Finn wakes up alone in an aviary with no idea how she got there, she realizes who the memory belongs to. Nora. It's up to Finn to convince her sister that not only is their mom still out there, but she wants to be found. Against Zadie's better judgment, she and Finn hit the highway, using Finn's echoes to retrace Nora's footsteps and uncover the answer to the question that's been haunting them for years. Why did she leave? But the more time Finn spends in their mother's past, the harder it is for her to return to the present, to return to herself. As Zadie feels her sister start to slip away, she will have to decide what lengths she's willing to go to find their mother, knowing that if she chooses wrong, she could lose them both forever. Again, I'm a sucker for like the family dynamics, and I love that it's like two estranged sisters, both with powers, going on a trip to save their mom. Like, that right there, done, sold, I need it. Then coming out on November 29th is A Wilderness of Stars by Shay Earnshaw. And the short and sweet of this one is that an illness cursing the land forces a teen girl astronomer to venture across the wilderness in search of the star's message that will hopefully save them all. It sounds like it's going to be a very like a sci fantasy, like focusing kind of on like the science-y aspect of like astronomy, but with like a fantastical spin on it. So not like a high epic fantasy, but kind of like a quiet sci-fi fantasy, if that makes any sense. It just sounds really cool. It sounds like there's going to be some found family in this book and a quest and all things that I absolutely love. And I'm pretty sure that this is a standalone too. Then coming out on November 8th is Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. This again is a standalone, I believe, which super exciting. I love me a standalone because it means I don't have to be like, oh my god, I need to read books 2 and 3 and 4. And you know, I'm really bad at finishing series, even though I love them. This one says, a magical detective dives into the affairs of Chicago's divine monsters to secure a future with the love of her life. It is a sapphic period piece that will dazzle anyone looking for mystery, intrigue, romance, magic, or all of the above. And I want all of the above. And then the final book that I am excited about, that I wanted to talk about, comes out on the 8th of November, and that is The Stars Undying by Emery Robin. This is a spectacular space opera debut, perfect for readers of ancillary justice and A Memory Called Empire, inspired by the lives and loves of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. A sci-fi inspired by Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. Sign me up. Say no more. Also, I just recently read and really enjoyed A Memory Called Empire, so hopefully this holds true to the comp for that, because I absolutely loved that. So yeah, this was a very long video, but there is a lot of books coming out in November that I am very excited about. Let me know which ones of these that you're the most excited about, and if there were some that are coming out that I didn't talk about, let me know, because I'm gonna add those to my list, because you know we always need more books. Just all the books, even though I will probably never read them all. Alright, well thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.